Hey, what's up, man? John Gruden back for week 5 in the lot, man. Really shaping up to be a competitive season with all kinds of teams still in the hunt, man. So let's get right down to business. Kitty's got a bike to go find, or maybe to buy a new one. I don't know. But before we get into her picks, I do have to say I went 3-2 on the week last week. Got let down by Ben laying an egg against Starfish, and also Mama did not represent adequately against Fuff, but still an above 500 record last week brings us to 14-6 on the year. So trust what you hear here at the Star Vegas Studios, brought to you by John Gruden and Michelob Ultra. Let's get into it so Kitty can get her bike back. Shark at Kitty. Shark's getting 8 in this game. Man, I'll tell you what, a lot's been made of Shark so far. 3-1, but projected to score 26 points this week, man. Come on, man. How are you going to be 3-1 and score 26 points a week? This is ridiculous. But let's get into it. I like David Johnson this week against the Bengals, man. They're terrible. I love David Johnson catching the football out of the backfield, running the football. Should be the focal point of that Arizona offense as they look to get their first win on the year. And then I like Hopkins a lot against the Falcons this week, man. They don't play defense in Atlanta, and Hopkins should really take advantage of that matchup and be able to put up some production for Shark. On Kitty's side of things, I love crab legs this week, man. Jameis Winston against the Saints. Look what happened last week with the Rams. I think something similar is going to happen this week with the Saints. Could be a little bit of a shootout there in the Dome. The offensive weapons for Tampa are starting to wake up a little bit, so Jameis could have a nice day. And then also, Kitty having 3 in the Thursday night tilt. I love Woods and I love Lockett because I think they're going to throw the ball a lot tonight on both sides. There in the Thursday night game between the Rams and the Seahawks, man. So for those reasons, I've got Kitty winning this matchup over Shark. Let's move on down to Star at Hooligan. The Kansas City Indy game on Sunday night should be another slugfest. Indy doesn't play a whole lot of defense, neither does Kansas City for that matter. You see what Detroit did to them last week. Look for a lot of points to be scored in that game. Star tentatively has 3 guys starting in that game, along with a kicker, wide receiver, and a running back. So be some good production there from the Kansas City-Indianapolis game. We like Cup too tonight, man. He's a target monster for Goff, getting about 15 looks a week. If he catches 10 of those, he's over 100 yards and always got a shot for a touchdown. So Cup is being very productive in that Rams offense. For Hooley, look, Rodgers doesn't have Adams, and it's shocking how dependent he is on Devontae Adams. I think he's going to struggle against a good Dallas defense without his full complement of targets. Jacobs this week going up against Khalil Mack. You think Khalil Mack's not fired up after I traded him away to the Bears, man? I'll tell you, he's going to come back and wreak havoc on our Oakland offense, so I don't think Jacobs is going to have a particularly good day. I like Evans and I like Cook in their matchups. Minnesota should run the ball since that's all they do. And then I do like Evans in that shootout I talked about between the Saints and the Bucks there in New Orleans. I do think Jordan Howard was a little bit of a fluke last week. I don't think he's going to go off to the tune he went off to last week, but he's got a bit of a timeshare there, and I think you'll see Sanders get factored in a little bit more, and maybe not so much for Howard. All things being equal, I've got Star eking this one out just because of the production in the Sunday night game and Cooper Kupp. Let's move on. I've got Mama at Scoresman. Scoresman's getting 2 in this. I love for Mama Russell Wilson tonight. As I've talked about, I think both teams are going to throw it a bunch. I think Russell's going to be successful. He's really been honing in on Tyler Lockett. I think they're going to expose that matchup tonight, and he's going to have some success. I love Zeke to run against a Green Bay D that can rush the passer, but they cannot defend the run. So I think Zeke has a nice afternoon there against Green Bay. And then Watkins, again, still looking for him to get back on track for Kansas City. Might have Tyreek Hill coming back this week, but that's okay. Watkins will still be in the mix. Should put up some points against that porous Indianapolis defense. Over to Scoresman's side, look, I think we learned that Connor's in a bit of a timeshare there in Pittsburgh, as we saw last week, and he's not 100%, so look for them to limit his touches. Smith-Schuster going up against a tough Ravens defense. Also got the subpar quarterbacks, not Big Ben throwing him the ball anymore, so doesn't have the same exposure in the offense that he used to have. And then the Houston D should really rattle Matt Ryan this week. The Falcons look terrible, and I think Ryan's production is going to be limited. So for those reasons, I do like Mama in this tilt to cover over Scoresman. Look, let's move on down to Outlaw and Hefe. Outlaw's getting 3 in this matchup for Outlaw. I think Rivers struggles. You got some good corners there in Denver. They should lock down those receivers for the Chargers. They've got some people dinged up. They've got Keenan out there, but I don't know if he can hold down the entire offense. Eckler, what's the deal going to be with Melvin Gordon coming back? You don't know if his role is decreased. Is it going to be a 50-50 timeshare? Are they going to slowly work Melvin Gordon back in? Nobody knows. All I do know is that by Gordon's sheer presence, Eckler is probably not going to have the same production that he had earlier in the season. I like Kamara and Thomas for Outlaw. Again, both of them are in position in that Tampa Bay, New Orleans game to put up some points. What's really hurting Outlaw right now is a highly drafted wide receiver that he's having to bench. I'm talking about Stephon Diggs, man. Look, Minnesota is something out of the 1970s right now. They run it again, and then they run it a third time before their offense either gets a first down or leaves the field. They do not throw the football, and it's killing the productivity of Thielen and Diggs. And so putting Diggs on the bench is not helping Outlaw's starting lineup one bit. Moving over to Hefe, as I've talked about ad nauseum, I really like the game tonight. The Rams should do really well passing the football. Benefits Goff, benefits Cooks. I don't know if it benefits Gurley all that much, but he might get involved with some screens and whatnot. And then Leonard Fournette looks like he's gotten a second win there in Jacksonville, man. I love what the quarterback's doing there. He's throwing the ball. He's keeping defenses honest, and Fournette is the beneficiary of it. So look for Fournette to do some good things this weekend. Look, man, I've got Hefe's on a roll. Hefe's on a roll. I like Hefe to win this game and get his second win of the season over Outlaw. And then our game of the week, man, we got Fuff and we got Ben. The two powerhouses so far in the league. Fuff is still undefeated, and Ben's only lost one. Look for Fuff. Look for Brissett to get a lot of garbage time productivity in that game. Kansas City should be up by 3 or 4 touchdowns in the second half, man. Brissett's going to have to throw it all over the place, so he should get some good production. There are 3 matchups coming up, though, that I do not like, man. Run CMC gets to go up against that Jacksonville D. They're tough up front. Should be some tough sledding for Run CMC. And then you got Henry going up against the Buffalo D. Underrated defense. Should be stout against the run. And then Shepard going against Minnesota. They've got some corners in Minnesota, man, that can lock people down. So they're also going to get after the passer. So I would look for Shepard to be somewhat limited in his productivity this week. On Ben's side, I think, Mahomes responds against Indianapolis, as I've said before. Last week was kind of an anomaly, if you will, for Mahomes. I think he just kind of wandered through that game against Detroit, but I think he's going to come out with a purpose and really put up some points for Kansas City this week, man. Kelsey obviously is going to be a beneficiary of that. And then Godwin, man, has been a target monster for Winston. I was watching that game last week, man. I thought he got targeted about 35 times. I wondered if they had anybody else on the field for Tampa, but really, really contributing to that offense there in Tampa Bay. Look, just because I think Mahomes is going to rebound and he's one of those special difference makers, I've got Ben winning this game and leaving us with no undefeated teams in the lot. And so that's the way Week 5 will shake out, man. Look, we love football and we love beer, man. We love the lot. You guys have a good weekend. Later.